let's talk about boundaries then.
Perfect. Do you want to talk about the importance of boundaries?
Yes. Well, let me talk about why they're important and why sometimes, particularly women, we can not be great at them.
Yes.
I think it's always,
sure.
in coaching, we always say it's like, what my answer is like, stop, think, grow. It starts with self-awareness. Understand, like, stop, think about where you are, and then do the growth. Whereas we're like, just grow.
Yeah.
Like, no, let's say take a moment.
Pause.
Let's take a moment to understand why boundaries are important and why they're hard before we go straight into let's set a load of boundaries and it'll be great. So boundaries are really important because we're telling people, letting people know how to treat us. So it's very important in terms of keeping us safe. We're telling someone this behavior is okay, this behavior isn't okay. And so there's just like a basic safety feature that's like about personal space, like don't enter my personal space, don't touch me in a way that's inappropriate, don't speak to me in a way that's threatening. There's some kind of basics around that. But generally in life, the way you're treated by other people reflects how you've trained them to treat you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best ways to train people is by having boundaries. And boundaries are just like a little mild electric fence. And when someone touches it, you're just like,
yeah.
And they're like, okay, that's telling me where the edge is, right? And actually, often when people have new relationships, and I'm not talking about romantic necessarily, but like you've got new colleagues, everyone's trying so hard to be nice at the beginning that they let everyone cross the fence, and then later they try and put up the electric fence, and someone tries to run straight through it, and they hit it, and they're electrocuted, and then they're annoyed at you because they're like, "Wait a minute, why am I?"
That wasn't there before.
That wasn't there before. I was allowed to do that before. Now I'm getting electrocuted. So it teaches people how to treat you from the beginning. So it's really important for safety. But also, it gives us confidence. If we can set a boundary and then someone else respects it, it's telling our brain we can stand up for ourselves. It's okay to say no. Now, why do we need this? Well, women in particular, we used to operate in a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very important for us to all get on. And so our number one driver was actually making sure everyone was in harmony over our individual needs. So that's where boundaries get tricky, because we're really concerned with, is everybody happy? And is everyone interacting with me in a pleasant way? And we'll often be subconsciously prioritizing that over, where have you hit my electric fence? Where's that boundary? What's made me uncomfortable? So women, big generalization, but women generally will let themselves be a lot more uncomfortable before they enforce a boundary than men will be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And therefore, women are more likely to be mistreated or taken advantage of, or not even deliberately taken advantage of, just start saying yes to things. And we talk about this in the reset a lot, because they end up, their plate's too full. They end up having to do all their work, everyone else's work, taking care of everyone's problems. They become the problem solver. So everyone calls them every time there's a problem. They expect them to fix it. They become everyone's agony aunt. And if they haven't set some boundaries early on, they're not giving themselves any space to breathe. So we talked before about sleep. Well, if you make yourself available to everyone anytime, then you run out of time to do your things. Then you start doing your to-do list late at night. And then you're stressed. You don't go to sleep on time. You start sacrificing your sleep, your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why boundaries are really important. And it's also appreciating why they're hard. And then one of the other things we talk about in the reset is not just about the fact we're in the tribe. A lot of it is about the media and how they project and present how women should behave, and women prioritizing the needs of others. Now, we should prioritize the needs of small children, 100%, because they can't take care of themselves. But beyond 7 or 8, there starts to be a balance of prioritizing your needs over theirs, right? And with adults, we should all be responsible for our own needs. But there's a lot of media messaging still about the importance that women should prioritize others, that they shouldn't be selfish. And then there's your early experiences. So if you've had one parent who wasn't very boundaried, you might find that difficult. Or maybe you had very demanding parents and you became a real people pleaser. And people pleasing and boundaries kind of go in conflict, because people pleasing is like, everything you ask me for, I'm going to say yes. You invite me to that party, I'm going to say yes. You ask for my help with this, I'm going to say yes. You agree a plan with me and then you decide to change it, I'm going to say that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the boundaries are like, actually, that doesn't suit me. So can we do it a different way? And so again, if you're a real people pleaser, then that's something to be aware of, that you're probably not setting boundaries where you should. Now, today we're going to talk about where you should set them, because there are people who they put up is not a mild electric fence. They're tasering everyone who gets within 5 meters of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can be too boundaried.
Yes.
And that has consequences. But then there are also the people who make their electric fence out of a daisy garland that's not electrocuted, and then they let everyone walk all over it, and then they're burnt out, and then we end up being resentful, and then we
100%.
swing all the way to tasering. So we're going to help you today to not taser anybody, but just have some gentle, enforceable boundaries.
Definitely. And it's very important for your brain as well, because your brain likes to know, like we said about it's cool if you know that you can't talk to someone for say like a 12-week fight camp. It's the same with our boundaries, and like our brain needs to know what we deem to be acceptable and not to be acceptable, because then it's one thing that we don't have to think about. It's kind of a given. It's not something that we have to resolve when we're trying to firefight and do all the other bits of thinking that we have to do throughout the day. And also, every time we say yes to something that feels a bit shitty and not that good, it starts to build that internal, if we can avoid having that inner critic and that voice start to dial up in our head, where it's very like, oh, but you don't really want to do that. You always allow people to walk all over you. You're always doing, when are you going to get to do what you want? When we have boundaries, that doesn't allow room for that conversation to happen, because it's not happening.
Yeah, we're encouraging other people to respect us, and then we respect ourselves, because our brain watches us set the boundary and enforce it. Whereas if we either don't set one or we set it and then we let people break it, our brain realizes we're not respecting ourselves. And it's interesting, because then that erodes our confidence, erodes our self-respect, but also it's almost like sometimes you open the floodgates and then you just kind of let everybody do whatever they want. And sometimes we see that actually in abusive relationships, where suddenly you see someone who formerly seemed like a strong person, they relinquish boundaries in their romantic relationship, and then they just relinquish them everywhere. And you think, why is this person letting everyone walk all over them? And it's because their brain has just said, oh, there's no point even having boundaries because I can't enforce them.
And with your brain as well, it's just very like, it then starts to obviously let that adrenaline, like the stress comes in, then we start to feel shitty. And it's just like our brain just does not do well with not having any kind of like formalized structure.
No, but if you've not been a boundaried person, trying to put them in for the first time can feel wildly uncomfortable.
100%.
Because your brain's thinking, well, if I put a boundary in with this person, the brain goes to the extreme. It thinks, well, that person's going to reject me. That's going to be the end of my relationship, or the end of my friendship, or this person will judge me, or my employer won't like me anymore. And it completely catastrophizes where that boundary is going to lead you.
Do you know what also is as well is sometimes that if your brain is like, it's not safe for me to set boundaries, or it's not good, sometimes it will try and uphold them in situations where it then demonstrates that it wasn't good for you to have that boundary.
What's an example of that?
A good example being like, I always, like, every time this is like just off the top of my head, say for example, like, I'm not going to answer my phone to my friends 9 o'clock at night, but you've been in a habit of doing it, and then there's a situation perhaps where that your brain will just remember the one time that it went really wrong. So say there was one time when she called at 9 o'clock at night, and actually she was on her way to hospital, and it was the one time you needed her. That is the one time your brain will go, well, see, that was the time you chose to do it, and you should have done it, because now you're a bad person because she ended up in hospital.
Or the other thing is, you put a boundary in and then someone really overreacts.
Yes.
And then your brain says, see, this is why there's no point doing it, because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do generally, it's good to have like agreements with your friends about how they contact you, because generally with my friends, during the day, if they call, it's probably social. But if any of my friends call at night, it is only because it's an emergency, and then I definitely answer it.
Yeah.
So that's because you get the boy who cried wolf, don't you?
100%.
And then you do feel bad. Like the other day, a friend of mine called me with some very exciting news that I won't share on the podcast. And she called me, and I was in the supermarket, and I immediately answered, because I thought there was something wrong.
Yes, you
and
do.
then she told me this amazing news, and I was squealing in Sainsbury's. I was completely embarrassed myself, but it was great. It was really happy news. So it is good to kind of but that's even like a boundary with how people can communicate with you.
Yes.
You know, I've got some friends where if their parents call them and they don't answer immediately, their parents get upset with them. And that's setting up like a whole anxiety loop. So boundaries isn't just, you do this thing I don't like, I tell you. Boundaries can just also be kind of setting agreements about time, about this is, you know, if you need to speak to me during working hours, can you send me a WhatsApp? Because if I see your number come up at work, I might panic and think there's been a problem.
Yes.
Right? Or it's about saying to someone, this is how much time I can spend with you, but but I need my Sunday afternoons to myself to recharge. So we're not always waiting for someone to hit the fence. It's really healthy to just say to people in our lives, by the way, guys, I'm putting up an electric fence around my garden.
Exactly.
So before you run into it, here's where it lives. And this is what's
Exactly.
involved in it. Before emotions get high, before someone inadvertently touches it, you're kind of setting yourself up for success by expressing what the boundaries are.
Exactly, because just like your brain wants to know what the like hard limits are and the soft limits and like where its heading is, it's very helpful that you give other people like the same thing. Is like, this is what's going to be happening. Otherwise, their brains may be freaking like, she's dead in a ditch. She's not answering. She's dead in a you know.
Yes, well, that's, you know, we talk about that on the reset, where sometimes, and we see it on the reset, people suddenly go through that experience and they suddenly realize that they've been letting people walk all over them. So they go from being people pleasers to being bad bitches overnight, which we love. And they're suddenly like, wait a minute, I'm putting all these people before me. I'm not prioritizing my well-being, whatever. But the pendulum can swing too far. And suddenly they're setting boundaries all over the place, but not letting people know.
Exactly.
And then people are suddenly like, wait, why are you suddenly behaving so differently? Why am I not being met? And one of my favorite examples is a friend of mine who went on strike. And she overnight went from taking care of all the housework and doing everything for everyone, but feeling underappreciated, to not lifting a finger for a whole month, which I think she's an absolute legend for doing that.
I love this.
But that was like a really good example of where, because the boundaries hadn't been enforced along the way, she just got so fed up, she went on strike. Now, the house was a real mess for a couple of weeks, but then eventually everyone got it.
Yeah.
And everyone in the family stepped up, which is great. And then there was a kind of recalibration. But we don't want to get to those kind of extreme scenarios. So what are some ways that you work with your clients when they suddenly realize they're not being very boundaried? We often talk about like the baby steps.
Yes.
What are the first baby steps to starting to become more boundaried in a way that feels comfortable for you, doesn't freak everyone else out, helps your brain acclimatize, see some success, and then kind of keep growing from there?
I think it like is exactly as you said. It's like when you're setting those boundaries for the first time, obviously it takes you time and other people time to get used to it. But it's like, what is that first small step? Is it that, say you're asked to 10 things, that you say no to just one of them? Is it that you can maybe whittle it down to like, I have one evening of the week which is sort of sacrosanct,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter what I get asked to. And it's having also as well, I think, having, when it comes to being asked to social things and you maybe feel like you're a bit overwhelmed, you don't want to say yes to everything, having like little templates of like go to phrases you can say.
Yes.
Having pre-rehearsed phases that you've come up with when you are feeling calm, feeling in logical bad bitch brain, rather than emotionally slightly stressed and you're like, oh, I just got to say yes because, you know.
Okay, so someone comes up to you at your desk.
Yes.
You've been everyone's help desk the whole time.
We know how this panned out for me.
Everybody comes to you with a problem because you're really competent. You always help them.
Yes.
And then you realise that hijacks all your time and you don't get your work done and you end up working later. So what's a good example of a little stock phrase if I come over and I say, oh, Julia, this client's really unhappy about X, Y, and Z. Can you fix it?
I would say, you can say, can you tell how good I am at setting boundaries? And
you don't even want to do it right now with me in a fake setting.
No, I would literally say to them, like, I can't even say it on the podcast. It's something along that I would say something like, I am just involved with this right now. I'm happy to give it a quick take, but I can't give it a deep dive right now.
Okay, so you're going to time limit
Yes.
it. Whereas I would go straight to I'd go straight into coaching because I'm a coach. So I'd go straight into, what have you tried already?
Yeah.
What do you think you can do next? Right. So I'm pushing it 100%.
What would you do if I'm not here?
Well, thing is, I'm not sure I'd go straight to that because that can feel a little bit confrontational. So I'd just say, what have you tried? What have you done so far? Or I might just say, I would love to help you with that right now. I've got some urgent work to work on. Can you come back to me tomorrow? And if they're like, no, it can't wait, just say, well, is there someone else you can ask?
Yes.
So I'm just like batting it away, but with questions. And you're saying, I'll help you. But that's a great one, is to say, I've got 5 minutes. Like sometimes if someone calls you and they say, can you help with X? You just say straight away, I've only got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're like, should I call you back later? Say, no, let's just do it now.
Yeah.
You put a boundary on, keep an eye on the time and say, right, time's up. But like,
yeah,
I hope that's helped and let me know how you get on tomorrow.
Yeah.
So pushing it down the road is a really good one.
Yes. And also I think as well, it's like having that, like, if you can, that explore with, if it's people are coming to you in a work scenario, is it urgent? Is it needing to be dealt with now?
Yes.
Or is it because we are all as people in this space where, especially in the world with like, you've got Teams, you've got Zoom, you've got WhatsApp, you've got email, and it's like we've been driven into this space where as soon as it comes in, we feel like we have to respond.
Yes.
And it's like the immediateness of communication has brought like an urgency to how quickly we should respond. But assessing like in that situation, is the perceived urgency the same as the actual urgency?
Yes.
Is it really everything is on fire, or can it wait until we got time tomorrow, the next day?
Well, and also that person's emergency isn't your emergency.
Exactly.
Because they've made themselves late and now it's up to the line. But you've planned your time better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's again just thinking, should I be in a panic about this, or is this their responsibility and therefore they need to sort it out?
Exactly.
I want to give you a live example because someone brought this to me the other day, not in coaching, in personal setting. What do you do when someone invites you to a hen do overseas? It's very expensive.
Yes.
It's with a load of their other girlfriends who you don't know. This is not how you want to spend your holiday budget.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you boundary yourself on that one?
It's really, really hard. It depends how well you know that person. It depends how, because also as well, what I find nowadays, thank God in some ways, is that people will have onshore and offshore hen dos.
What? They're having two?
And if not, maybe like three?
Oh my God, this is getting so excessive. Can we calm down on the hen do? That's what I want to say.
But it's like, if I know the person really well, it would, and especially it depends on like your circumstances, because it might be that, for example, you are a business owner, you have your business objectives, you have other things to do, and they might be employed or whatever the situation. I would probably go along something along the lines of, I would really love to like come with you, but right now I'm just really having to like work on the business. I've got a lot of other things that need to have my like priority. However, I would love to take you out for dinner or a night away, just so we can spend some time, just so we can celebrate, because obviously it's really important we acknowledge this.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is you're saying no to that, but you're saying you're still important to me. I want to spend time with you. And but even with other things maybe less important than hen do, just saying to someone, I'm really sorry, I can't afford the time right now because I'm up against it. And I also think, I know sometimes we're shy about talking about money, but just saying, I'm really sorry, expenditure's very tight at the moment. I'd love to come, but let's maybe do something further down the line, or let's plan something just together. And one of the things that is really useful about boundaries is it helps you see who the other person is.
100%.
Now, sometimes we're not going to like what we see. So if you say to a really good friend, I can't afford your £1,000 hen do in Vegas, and they react really badly. Why are you looking at me like that?
No,
is that going to be your hen do? It's going to be £1,000 hen do in Vegas.
No, because I'm like, if you don't want to go, I'll go.
Yeah, okay. You want to go to Vegas. Bad example.
Another really good one. It's like, I will send my substitute friend who also knows no one on the hen do.
Can I send my ambassador for me? That's brilliant. I love that.
But yes, please continue.
I can't even remember what I was saying. You obviously want to go to Vegas. Let's just go to Vegas.
If someone says
last
to
time
you,
it was New York, now we're going to Vegas.
Vegas would be great. The Bad Bitch podcast goes stateside.
Oh my, okay, we need you to like, share, subscribe, so we can go on a stateside tour and bring the podcast with us. 100%. Let's do it.
It shows you
who they are. If the friend freaks out, but first of all, if you can see it coming, try and don't wait till they invite you or their friend invites you. Try and head it off at the pass and have a proactive conversation early on, before the emotions get too high. But if they react really terribly because you're not going to spend £1,000 and your holiday time on their hen do when you have other priorities, like you're saving for a house or what have you, then you've got to question how they're valuing the relationship.
Quite.
And I think sometimes we're afraid to pull boundaries because we don't want to sabotage relationships. But deep down, we know it's not that great a relationship. But we have such a primal need to belong with people that people hold on to bad relationships, romantic friendships, work friendships all the time, because they just don't love the idea of like losing that relationship, even if it's kind of quite low value or it's not reciprocal. But your brain is watching, and it's watching how people treat you. And, by being boundaried, you might end up reducing your group of friends, but you might end up with the most amazing friends in the world who respect you, who respect your boundaries, who will understand when you say, I can't do this. I actually messaged a friend this morning and owned and said, oh, I've been so busy. I don't feel like I've been a good friend. When can we catch up? I just owned it. And they were like, no, we get that you're busy. Like, it was you know, those kinds of friendships, those people understand
100%.
and will accept when you have to say, you know what, I'd love to come out, but I'm absolutely terribly tired. I just need an early night.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but I think ultimately you end up with better relationships, better friendships. You feel more confident and you'll be more respected by the people around you.
Definitely. And I think the ones like the hen do thing, anything like that, declining those things are quite like high stakes for like
Right.
boundaries. So practicing them, like you said, we're in safe. We always say this on the Bad Bitch Reset. Practicing establishing boundaries with you, people you know have your back and who aren't likely to react in a bad way, and practicing it with like low stakes, like, oh, I can't come to Pilates tonight. I'm really tired.
Yes.
Fine, because then it's building like real world evidence that you can do it, and you're providing your brain with like, yeah, you the evidence that you can set boundaries and it's safe to you to do so.
And you've trained that person that you can say no to them.
Yes.
I think to wrap up, let's give a really good example that we've covered in the reset, where one of the best things is just to defer it. So someone does that really annoying thing where they say, what are you doing on the 20th of August?
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God, this is a trap.
I might be free. I might not be.
I might be free. It really depends what you're going to invite me to.
If we're going to Vegas, I'm free.
So you say.
If we're going to a knitting circle, maybe not so much.
Right, but someone else would be like, knitting circle,
Yes.
hell yes. So, first of all, you say, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What did you have in mind or what were you thinking of? They then tell you, even if it's a hell yes, practice saying, that sounds really great. That sounds really interesting. Can I check my diary and get back to you?
Yes.
So it's the first step is just practice delaying your response, because also it might be a hell yes, but when you step back and look at your week, and I'm doing this with my hands like a book, but we used to look across a diary, which was really helpful for our brains because we could say it's like, well, that's in a sandwich between 2 workshops and 2 nights out, so I can't say yes to that. But as you look at your phone just on one day, you're like, oh, there's a big space. You forget that the next morning you have to be up at 6 a.m. to get a flight somewhere. So step back and say, I'll get back to you. Then go and look at your whole week or your whole month and ask yourself, is this good for me? And this is where I love goals. We talk about goal setting. Does this help me achieve my goals in my relationships as well as work? Is this something that I want to commit to? Or actually is my goal this week to improve my health and therefore it's a no? So just buy yourself that time and then go back calmly with a response. And the right people will understand that, and they might learn that next time they invite you to something, they should actually tell you what they're inviting you to.
Exactly that. And when it comes to like saying, if someone asks you to something, I think it works well in work or family or friends. It's like, thank and acknowledge them.
Yes.
And then say your polite decline.
Yeah. I mean, I did it someone recently where I said, I love that you invited me to that. Thank you so much. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
But next time you're organising an activity, please do invite me again.
Yeah.
So I'm making sure they know that's not like I don't want to hang out with you as a person. That's just, that activity is not how I want to use my time right now. But I love hanging out with that person.
Yes.
And just because you're friends with someone, you don't have to love doing all the same things as them.
And I think also, like with boundaries, you feel like the figures that, which are amazing and they're pioneers, and I think we can aspire to be like this. But the people that are seen as being very boundaried are our mother of the podcast, who doesn't know that we even exist, Anna Wintour.
Right.
You know, Madonna, Lady Gaga, all these really powerful people that just like, absolutely not. It's a hard no.
Yes.
But if you're not used to practicing that, that's like the 10 we're looking to sort of just practice. So acknowledge, delay, all these things just when you're starting to explore, and you can do it.
And you can get to the 10, because I started in banking being terrified of saying no to people, and then I definitely got to 10. And people sometimes would find it quite abrupt how boundaried I could be, but then they really respected me and they understood that if they came in with an unreasonable demand, they weren't going to get a yes, and they had to build a case, or, you know, it makes people make a bit more effort. So, you know, I think but again, it's understanding the context that you're in. On a trading floor, the way people behave, you have to be uber boundaried. If I then treated all my friends like that, they'd just be like, why are you being so harsh and cutting and just with a look? No, just cutting that, like, just absolutely.
The hand.
So I think, exactly, cutting them dead. I think you got to situation and contextualize it. But I think always, if it's people you're going to spend a lot of time with, whether it's colleagues or in your personal life, try and at some point sit down with them and help them understand where those boundaries are and understand why they're important to you. What does that give you? What does it help you with if they don't suddenly try and talk to you about their job at 10 p.m. at night
Mm-hmm.
because they want to unburden themselves, and you say, I really want to be there and listen to you talk about your work, but I need to go to sleep in a calm state so I can empty my stress bucket.
Yes.
So it really helps me if we have that conversation earlier, if you can save it till the next day. And next time you do that, I'm going to ask you to save it. And it's not that I don't want to listen to you. It's that I'm going to be a much better partner when I've had a good night's sleep. Now, that's me being perfect because I don't always say things like that. But it's like, help me help you. Help people understand why that boundary helps you, how it will help them. And then they're going to be much more open to it than if you're just like, why the fuck are you talking to me about work? I'm trying to get to sleep. Can't you see how tired I am? Why do you think your work's more important than me? Like, do you know what I mean? This is what happens. You dance the tasering. You're getting the taser out. You're setting fire to them. And they're like, oh my God, I just wanted to talk to you about Barry at work, Barry in accounts who's pissing me off.
Because they don't have the context for the situation of everything you've been through in the day.
And they don't understand why that boundary is so important to you. So that's what we're saying. We're trying not to taser anybody. Yeah. We're going to leave it with that.
No tasering.
Hopefully
practice.
We've just saved some relationships right there. Yeah.
All right, my darlings. Well, thank you so much for being with us. As always, just let us know if you want us to cover any particular topic, and if you could just continue to support our little pod by liking, sharing and subscribing. We would be eternally grateful to you. And we look forward to seeing you next week.